Good morning, Aurora.
Rise
The
and
time
shine.
is
Pour yourself
7:10
a cup of
a.m.
coffee
You are
and
listening to
tune
Good
in
Morning
to
Aurora,
Good
the
Morning
second largest
Aurora.
city's first daily news
News,
podcast, and it is
weather,
Friday,
and really
March
cool
19th,
interviews. Monday through
2021.
Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
We've got a great show for you guys today and a great episode coming up after today's news. Also, at about, let me see, in about 50 minutes here, we're going to get started with another episode of Jeanette Splaining Hey Holla Snaps. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about some of the issues going on, like vaccine rollouts in King County, specifically Batavia, and Craft Urban, downtown Aurora, or could be, to be in the future. So first things first, hope you guys are all having a great, safe, nice, positive Friday. Looks like we'll have some sunshine today. That's what the weather app says. Right now it's still dark, kind of gloomy, but I like the gloom. All right, so let's get into some news, you guys. First things first. Our friends of the CAN Advocacy Awareness Network and Not Forgotten Ministries are hosting a drive-through Treats for Sweets day at MLK Park, which is on Farnsworth, from 1 to 4 p.m., and that's Saturday, April 3rd. Donations are being collected right now until the 28th of this month. Candy, chips, and juice boxes or pouches. You can deliver them to 1677 Montgomery Road, and the name of that business is Java Plus. Shouts out to Java Plus. All right. On First Friday, which is April 2nd, the return of First Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m., you can play video games for free. Windy City Game Theater will be at the corner of Broadway and Benton Street, so 76 South Broadway, and it's going to be a lot of fun. They are a huge truck full of TV screens and games and PS4s, PS5s, and Xboxes. That's the other cool thing. This is sponsored by Judd Lofshy and Associates, attorneys, realtors, and developers. This will be a lot of fun. Come on out, and again, the cost is free. Do good with burritos tomorrow, Saturday. The flyer with the promo code has been posted. A great foundation called My Superpowers is teaming up with Chipotle from 4 to 8 p.m. at the store at 1167 North Yola Road, Suite 105. With the flyer posted, you can get, or rather your proceeds, 33% of which will go to the organization. And My Superpowers is a local nonprofit, and they are dedicated to SEL learning, which is social emotional learning in teens, kids, and young adults. So shouts out to My Superpowers. Okay, Community Blood Drive. Don't forget, Monday the 29th of March from noon to 5 p.m. Hosted at 1 East Benton, the lower level, which is Gallery 1904, our state representatives Barbara Hernandez of the 83rd District, Keith Wheeler of the 50th District, and Representative Stephanie Kifowit of the 84th District will be coming together to put this on in a true bipartisan fashion. In addition to that, Duquesne Abate Motorcycle Advocacy Group is also sponsoring and helping to make the event, or rather hosting the event. So shouts out to all of them. And last but not least, and then we're going to get out of here, pop-up art show, Sunday the 21st, so this Sunday coming up, from noon to 6 p.m., original works, art prints, and more by Devin the Artist, Jen Ingram of Jen Ingram Art, and Madi Del Val. Face masks are required upon entry, and the featured food pop-up is from Hopvine Brewery. Shouts out. McCarty Mills is located at 140 South River Street, Suite 108 in Aurora. All right, so that's the news. There's a whole lot more going on, but this is just a quick snippet of it because we're about to break into some things as soon as Jeanette gets here. But you guys have a great weekend, a positive weekend, and Monday is going to be a great day for us and for you. I want to say a special thank you and shout out to all of our listeners, all of our fans, and all of our subscribers. The second largest city's first daily news podcast has arrived. So, with that is the news. All right. So good afternoon to you.
Go.
Or it's the morning. No, it's afternoon.
Afternoon, yeah.
Good to see you, sir.
Oh, good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for sitting down with us. Let us know, for our listeners and our viewers, who you are and where you're from.
I'm Christopher Bennett, and I live in Aurora. Been in Aurora for 22 years or so now.
All right. Christopher Bennett. Now, what's the Aurora story from your perspective?
The Aurora story, my Aurora story, or it's kind of interesting. I grew up in the St. Louis area and went to school in Columbia, Missouri, and ended up working for an organization and found that I was working with the office machine industry. So I'd sold office equipment, and then ended up working with a lot of dealerships.
Okay.
And I got hired by Canon USA to come here and become an evangelist for Canon as a kind of a sales trainer, sales skills and technology training, and had to be in Itasca, and all they said is I had to live within 50 miles of O'Hare Airport, basically. So I needed to be able to. I was never here. I didn't know. I couldn't even get downtown probably for a long time.
Wow. And
so I left there, and I'd go to O'Hare or Midway sometimes, and I'd fly somewhere else in North America and teach.
So you grew up in St. Louis or in the outskirts, was it?
I grew up in the town of Maplewood. Happens to be it's the first school district, they say, in the St. Louis area. So it's one of the first suburbs.
Are there any similarities between the St. Louis experience and Aurora?
I think there are some. I never really thought of it that way, but to me, Aurora is a small. I know they say Aurora is the second biggest city in the state, but Aurora has a lot of small town feel to it, and the real reason we ended up moving here was I could live any place in the area, and the cost of living in Jefferson City, which is where I was living, the capital, was pretty low. And I did a consumer price index just to find out where else I could live in this area and not take this, almost 100% change in cost of living.
Right.
And what I found was that there are a lot of things along the Wisconsin border, and then there's Aurora and some of the areas out here. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I found the temperature here is a lot better than up on the Wisconsin border. Yeah. But of course, like I said, the cost of living a lot better, and the homes in Aurora look so much like where I grew up. It's just it was really easy, especially the older part of town. So
growing up, excuse me, what impact did your mom have in your life?
Interesting you asked that question. I guess the first thing I should say is I was kind of they used to say oops baby years ago. So my mother had my mother and father had 5 children before I was born. The distance is between 16 years and 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so but my mother, I was born premature. I was one of those kids that she was probably about 46 when I was born, and they told her to, for her health, she was diabetic, and for her health, they told her, I was probably something that probably should have been aborted, as they said in those days, and she wouldn't do it. She's apostolic faith, holiness,
right,
was her. Yeah. No, true apostolic faith,
okay.
holiness,
okay.
And that meant it was a question whether or not she could wear culottes in public. So that
oh wow,
yeah, very strict religiously. But anyway, she had me, and but she died when I was 14. She had a stroke about two or 3 years before that, where she could only say about 3 words: her own name, my brother's name, and Johnny, Rebecca, and every now and then some other thing, but that was about all she could say. So the relationship up until the stroke was great, but there was no real communication after that point.
Right.
And I think it affected my life in a lot of ways, in good ways.
How
in
so?
good ways. Everybody strays away from. I mean, I was brought up in a very, very Christian household, but and everybody strays away from that. But I think what it did for me was it gave me a base, and it gave me an understanding of people talk about growing up in a single parent household and all the problems that can come with that. But it gave me a base, and even when I go in, I was probably close a few times to doing something to get myself in trouble. But there's always something that sense of right and wrong,
right.
and not wanting to disappoint,
right.
not wanting to disappoint, my living father and my mother. I just, in the end, I back away from it, and it's.
What kind of man is your father?
Wow. My dad was a great man. I mean, I didn't have a lot of education. Grew up in a relatively rural Oklahoma, around the Langston University, if people are familiar with that. And he was a great guy. You don't realize how great he is, or he was. He died several years ago, but you don't realize how great he was until you talk with other people and find out what their fathers were like.
Right.
And he was strict, but he wasn't strict. I never felt like there was anything I couldn't go to him with. There were, didn't really drink. He'd have, if he got sick, he'd have a little bit of Southern Comfort, literally just a shot.
Yeah.
But he just taught right from wrong. He wasn't nearly as strict religious, but
As mom?
as my mother.
Okay.
But yeah, he was just he just taught right from wrong, believed that treat people well,
Right.
and just, you don't realize what you have sometimes until you meet people who don't have that kind of relationship, or the father's just this disciplinarian, or this mean guy.
Yeah.
And my dad, honestly, I was spanked one time. Yeah, so
You were a good listener as a kid, is that what?
yeah. He was just a great guy. He'd always talk, and he was trying to learn that. No, he raised 5 other kids.
Yeah.
So I guess he knew what he was doing. But yeah, great guy.
What's your educational background?
Educational background. I was one of those guys who wasn't really sure that he wanted an education. I grew up in again, I had older sisters, and one of them was married to a fellow who owned he and his family owned little stores.
Okay.
So at 13, I went to work for him in his outdoor produce market. Gas station turned into an outdoor produce market, and I thought that was a great business, a great way to work. So didn't always think it was something to do. College was always the thing for me. Mm-hmm. And I struggled through my those teenage years as my mother was sick, and after she died. So I was a good student, a decent student, but I wasn't a super A student, but I wasn't a C student either. So I wasn't sure I wanted to go to college, but my dad and I agreed that I should.
Yeah.
and luckily I finished school with no debt at all, because he worked for Postal Service. He earned a little something. I had my mother's state pension.
Right.
And did okay.
Good.
Graduated from a place called Columbia College of Missouri, which
Okay.
they have campuses in Illinois. Still active with their alumni program, but I've attended classes a lot of places. So
Columbia College in Missouri.
yes,
And what was your areas of study? Or
business.
Business?
Yeah, business.
All right. So, what is business?
What is business?
I
Business.
once read that it's a living, breathing thing. Is that a fair statement?
It would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, business is. I'm not gonna say business is what you make it, but business is about finding out what people want, and then providing it for them, and making yourself some money after you do that.
Right. Okay, so you graduate Columbia College. Where's Christopher now in life? What's things like? Driving a hot Mustang and all that kind of stuff, racing down the road. I mean, what's Christopher like graduating college?
Oh, I graduated and went to work with in one of my business classes. My professor had been a banker in town.
Okay.
And so he did a small business management by having people come through and just speak, and just business people from the community all over the area. And we had a gentleman come in who owned a copier dealership. Don Wenzel was his name. And he came through and he said,
Don Renter?
Don Wenzel.
Don
Wenzel was his name. And he sat there and he talked, and he talked about how everybody should be in the office machine business. And I said, I'm gonna go and interview with Don, Mr. Wenzel. And I got hired. I think I had 2 interviews, but I got hired there. And so I started one of the best things I could have ever done, because I got in the office equipment. I ended up working for the major lead manufacturer of office equipment in the world. But because of that experience, I got to go inside of every kind of business there was in the state capitol. So there were about 113 different trade associations. So I got to understand the workflow, the paper flow of through those organizations. I had a hospital. I had about 30 accounts. They called them I forget, the key accounts. So I had about 30 accounts, in addition to about a third of the trade associations in the area. And then I sold to the Missouri Senate. So I went to 2 governors, what do you call them, inaugural balls. I mean,
okay.
I'm just,
That's the perks, right?
Right. I'm like 20 something years old, and I'm doing stuff that if I'd been in St. Louis, if I'd gone back to St. Louis, I wouldn't have had those opportunities, probably.
What year is this we talking?
We're talking 19. Well, you're asking my age now.
I'm sorry, my brother. It's a tough part of this job.
Yeah. No. I would have been what, 20? It was about 93.
Okay.
94, somewhere in there.
So technology has changed a lot since then. What are some of the key changes that have taken place from then till now that you've seen?
The key change in technology? I would say, for instance, my first computer was something called the Commodore VIC-20. And then I upgraded it. I think it was like 4K of storage and memory. And then I upgraded to 128K of memory, internal memory on that machine. Back in. So
128K.
128K of memory. Yeah, that's like almost a whole tweet, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to put that into a relevant current perspective.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, because now you talk about bits and bytes.
Right.
And so there's 8 bits to a byte. This is going back. So the basics of any technology is there's 8 bits to a byte. So from when we talk about 128K, it's different today than it was back then. So because you look at how many bits you have in the computer, and I'm not, it's been a long time since I had discussed these things, but you talk about today's computers are what, 64-bit computers.
Right. Yeah.
And back then I was in 8-bit. It was truly an 8-bit computer. Processing was different, but I guess what I'd say the biggest difference in technology is that I've watched it go from in the 1980s from this whole thing where you had to log into something else to get on. You get on the phone, you log into something else. You take your all your processing was done in your computer on your desktop, and then you could log into bigger computers to do things. And to today, where we've got this computer where very little's done on it. It's a lot more processing power, but very little of the processing is actually done at our desktop. We log into these bigger computers or other computers and do all the processing that way. And then, so I kind of see it as we've come this full circle. Yes, we can do a lot more things, but it all gets right back down to, I'm trying to think of the book I used to give away. Nicholas Negroponte being digital, and that's a long time ago. But just the concepts are the same, But everything that we did, we had to really understand it to do it. I wrote a Pac-Man game on 100, I think it was the 128 I had. I actually took the concept of Pac-Man and drew it out pixel by pixel, what it's going to look like when the mouth is closed and open, and did all that. And it really hasn't changed much. It's just we just do it on a much bigger scale.
Interesting.
And so that's my thought.
Now we're going to get into your current business and what you do.
Okay.
But I do want to ask, what does America mean to you?
What does America mean? You mean the United States or the entire continent?
All of it.
All of it. I think what the United States means is the best opportunity that this world has to offer. While I was at Columbia College in Missouri, I was in a study abroad program where I did a full year at Bradford University in Bradford, West Yorkshire, the area, the Yorkshire Ripper, and Emily Bronte, all that stuff. And going there, you got to see, a very small percentage of people could even go to university, as they called it, right out of high school. It was the creme de la creme,
Right.
And that was pretty much it. Everybody else, they either went to they went to work, or they went on to the advanced type things.
Right.
And so you come here, and in today's world, there's a public school education. We complain about it in some places, but we've got a public school education that will help us move forward. We've got people, dying. I was just watching something on the news last night about people, the things that are happening at the border, and how they just let people, or people are showing up at the border wanting to cross, and they keep talking about how the children are being locked up. Now they're going to take children who are sent here in many cases without their parents, and they're going to let those children, put them up in from wherever the border is, down along the border, and bring them all the way up to Dallas and put them into this the convention center, and you think, wow, people are going through all this. They're willing to send their children to this place without them in many cases, and that's the opportunity that we have here. And I see so many of us, actually myself included when I was younger, who don't take advantage of all we have to offer, and all the they talk about. There's so many things that I hear people say today that I don't want to get into the politics of it, but there's so many things I hear people say today, and I think, but where else would you go?
Well, we don't have to get into politics, but give me an example of that. Give me an example
of
what you're talking about.
Man, you can take it as simple as toilet paper. I mean, we got it here. I mean, remember when we had the toilet paper shortage? And right at the beginning of the pandemic, and we got like, you can go to the stores under normal circumstances, and there may be 15 different varieties of toilet paper. The toilet paper in Britain, given it's 30 years ago, the toilet paper there they didn't have it like we had here. Things have changed a lot as the world's opened up, but almost anything. I mean, we look at music today. I mean, outside of rock and roll,
right.
Music. We set the stage in this country for music. We set the stage for almost anything people want to do in the world, and you can come from absolutely nothing, and become. Everybody's talking about Beyonce this week, so and become a Beyonce. Yeah, exactly. So you can become. You can really become anything, right?
Right.
and I don't believe that experience is anywhere like it is here, and and the freedom that we experience here is just. I mean, like I said, I traveled around Europe. I took on my 2 breaks. I didn't. They kicked us out of the dorm. I couldn't go back there. They put chains on the doors, locked us out.
Really?
So I had to travel around for each of those 2 months, and that was in England, and you know, I got to go a lot of places, and got to see a lot of things. You know, it's you know, I don't believe there's any place better, but you have to go someplace else to know that and to recognize that and
So
to
you
realize
liked
that.
England?
I did. I liked it a lot, but the one thing that they said to me that resonated, I'll never forget this. I was talking to a guy, and I was talking about, because they would talk about being English,
Right.
and then they talk about being British, or British as they say, right?
Yeah.
And I said something about, well, let's say I immigrated here, and I moved to England. Could I be English?
No.
Absolutely not.
You're a Brit.
You can never be English. I said, really? I can never be English. And you know, that's when that was kind of a first time for me to realize, you know, I come to the United States. I moved to Missouri. I moved to Florida. I moved to wherever, and I can say I am that. You know, I am a Missourian. I am an Illinoisan. I can't. You know, I can never become English. You know, I could move there
They
at 3
put
years
milk in
old.
your tea, so
What's that?
nobody's perfect, right?
Yes. Yeah, right. So I put milk in my tea, believe it or not.
Oh.
Actually, I use heavy cream in my tea. Don't tell my doctor, but I use heavy cream in my tea.
And you know what? I made a little joke, but there are listeners of our show
Yeah.
who take milk in their tea as well.
Yeah.
I retract that statement, y'all. Keep tuning in.
Well, no, it's because we had the tea. I forget, we had like tea.
Yeah.
I forget what they call them, tea hours or something, on a regular basis. Like 2 o'clock, I remember my first day there to meet the staff on the campus. We actually had a tea, and that's the first time I had milk and tea.
Yeah.
And I've loved it ever since. Boy, you taking me way back, man.
That's what we do. This is
Okay,
this show is meant to do that for people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I do believe that, and maybe you could let us know though, I do believe that one of the key components of a good business or company or team is the individual perspective. You know what I'm saying? So how are customers able to really take part in a service? If they feel about it, they are. If they can see and gauge the interest in a person or an executive, they're more likely to check out that service or anything like that.
Sure.
And for me, that's what I'm interested in.
Okay.
You know, state senator or whatever. Yeah, that's great. What was your first job? You know, that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
The human experience.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, tell us about your current business.
I'm really in the financial and insurance industry.
Okay.
I call myself a financial insurance advisor, and my focus is on primarily the over 50 crowd, or people nearing 50,
Okay.
and empty nesters. And what I attempt to do is create an environment where I'm not tied to any product or any carrier, insurance carrier, or any annuity or financial company. I just sit down with people, talk with them about their situation, and help them to put everybody, however many financial guys they have, put them all in one room if necessary, and help them do what's really best for them, without some company looking over my shoulder going, well, why didn't you sell XYZ
Yeah, hit them with the gold
insurance?
package.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what I'm a true independent advisor.
What are some of the frequently asked questions a financial advisor gets?
Frequently asked questions. I mean, the biggest one is always people trying to find out something about the market, and that's really, for me, that's not my focus at all. If you want somebody who's going to go out and trade stock for you, I've got somebody. I'm a good networker. So I have.
You are.
Yeah, I have a great group of people, and
Yeah.
I can give you a list of 3 people that I know. My big thing is know, like, and trust. So I'm not going to refer you to anybody or send you to anybody that I met on LinkedIn without at least talking with them on the phone. Almost anybody is going to be somebody that I actually know. I've sat with them. Previous business of mine was I actually helped businesses set up their own networking groups, and I actually had a lead group right here at the Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce. So I know a lot of people. I want to put people with people that they actually match with, so that they can so they get the best person for them, and also who has the proper skill, of course, to do whatever it is that they need done. So and that's really my focus. I have no problem with if you and I were to sit down together. Usually I meet people on their auto insurance. Believe it or not, auto insurance, because I ran an auto home life property casualty, as they call it, agency originally. And so you meet people and they're all focused on their car insurance, and they'll call you every year or call somebody every year and want to increase, not increase, but get the best rate on their car insurance. But they don't really understand what that means. So yeah, you can call any animal out there representing an auto insurance today,
Right.
and they can give you a great rate, and the rates change all the time. They can give you a great rate, but if you don't understand what liability is, understand what your assets are, and that they can get in this area in Illinois. I'm licensed in Illinois, Missouri, Iowa. But in Illinois, $20,000 is all the liability coverage that you need. I mean, legally, that's all you have to have. But if they've got $500,000 in assets or better, and they say, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the cheapest insurance. I'm gonna get a small amount of liability coverage. $25,000. I think most companies won't even give you $20,000, but $25,000 in liability coverage. And then they go out and they go on this bridge over here, and somebody's crossing from behind one of the columns, and they hit them, and the person doesn't die, they're just permanently disabled. $20,000 isn't going to do much. And if they can't get out of the insurance company, guess who they go after next? It's you.
Yes, the individual.
Yeah, the driver and all the driver's assets, so the insured and all the insured's assets. So. That's an important thing that people completely forget when they look at insurance. And so and the way this all started, the way I didn't start off on the financial side of things. Right. I started off on the property casualty side. And then you're sitting there, you're talking with somebody, you get them the right amount of liability, and you find out that they've got this 401k from 2 jobs ago that they never bothered to move, and they've got you for their home, and they went to somebody else for their car, and now they've got somebody else who did their life insurance. But the person who did their life insurance only got them $100,000 worth of coverage. They got 2 kids, and they got a job that pays them $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, and they're taking care of the whole household. Well, if something happens to them, there's no protection for them.
Right.
So my focus is on understanding them, understanding their long-term planning. And when I say I work with people nearing retirement and planning for retirement, and empty nesters, I focus on them more because now they're starting to whatever, maybe they're not going to have a lot of assets, but they're starting to figure out how to keep the assets that they have, and it's more important than ever because they've worked enough years where if something goes wrong, they don't have enough time to go back and make it all over again. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture that.
Okay.
I'm trying to picture you talk about the empty nesters.
Mm.
So that's folks who had kids and now the kids have left. Kids are in
Right.
college pretty much, yeah.
There's no kids. There's no children in the household. I guess if my wife and I don't have children, so I would say we're empty nesters, even though we don't.
Correct.
So we'd also be dinks, if you remember that term. So
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Are most Americans financially literate?
no. I would say, I don't know. I don't know. I would say that the information is out there, especially now with the internet. The information is there. I just don't think that people necessarily want it. So one of the terms I use is my role in my job is to simplify a person's financial life. So it gets so complicated so quickly, and if you're just looking at, again, how can I even if you're trading, how can I get this trade for X dollars a trade, and that's all their focus is. Are they really getting what's best for them?
Right.
In terms of insurance, the same thing. Are they really getting what's best for them, or are they only seeing what's available to the agent that they're working with?
Right.
So and so when you talk about the term agent and the term broker, most people have no idea what that really means.
Can I take a stab at it?
Okay,
All
let's
right.
do it from the insurance side.
Okay, so an insurance agent is a person who will educate you
Mm-hmm.
in basic ways about insurance and policies and what have you. But a broker is the person who actually, I don't want to, does the heavy lifting of matching you with this. Is that correct?
I would say the matching piece is important. Yeah.
Right.
An agent. You think about it. An agent is a person who represents something. They can act as a company.
Right. Hey,
So
I'm from State Farm. Okay.
okay, exactly. Okay, so you said it. I didn't. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But you're right. An agent can
State Farm, holla at us.
can act as that organization.
Okay.
A broker is someone who can look at you and figure out which organization out there is the best fit for you.
Gotcha.
Based upon all your situation.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying that agents don't do that. As an agent, I do that too. But as a broker, with a broker's focus, I can just find out about you, find out what's important to you. If you tell me you want, you'd rather do business with a company that's in the Midwest, I can find you a carrier that's in the Midwest. That's really important for you. So that's just one example. It's a term that people use. It's thrown around every day, and each industry it may be something slightly different. But in finance, in the financial world, a broker is again someone who's actually able to trade, actually able to go out to a market and actually trade on your behalf. So there's all sorts of terms out there. There's all kinds of places where you can go and get this information. But most people, they're busy. They're trying to raise their family. They're trying to figure out what's next.
Right.
They're trying to find that next job, that better job, whatever it is. And they don't necessarily want it, or they don't realize how what they don't know could potentially hurt them.
What is something that people think financial advisors do, but they actually don't do that at all?
What's something people think an advisor does?
Yeah. People come to you with things
it kind of depends on who it is. Here's the thing: you take people who are financial professionals,
Mm-hmm.
so which means that they're licensed. Those folks do different things. So, like I said, I don't mind putting your existing financial advisor in a room with me, because I do Medicare. I help people with Medicare supplements, and the supplemental products. So anything from dental to all those types of things. Most of the time, their financial advisor doesn't. That's just not something that they do. Often, what you'll find is that they don't really. Everybody has something that they're. You can't be a jack of all trades. So everybody has something that they're good at or that they focus on.
Right.
So I find that if someone has youthful drivers, it's that's a different household than a household where everybody's over 25.
Right.
So I like the households that are over 25. Although I can help somebody who has youthful drivers, has children, 16 to 25, living in the household. But there's a lot more options out there in terms of making it affordable.
Right.
Once the driver has some experience under the belt.
What's the biggest impact COVID has had in your professional work?
Oh man, I'll tell you what it is. It's driving me nuts. It's not being able to just go out and sit like you and I are.
Right.
I'm not in the mask. You're not in the mask. And cause even for so long we couldn't even go in and just even sit in the coffee shop. I got kicked out of a Panera the day that they said that we couldn't be in, I guess how you say it, that we had the lockdown, right?
Yeah.
And
like the beginning of the lockdown.
at the very first day of it.
Right.
So I made the appointment, and the gentleman and I went in. We walk into the place. Of course, there's no furniture there at all, and we go, that's okay. I was going to buy something. I knew I was going to buy. So I said, well, let's just talk here. Mm-hmm. So we stood there, and the manager had to come over and go, you can't even be here. It was. I remember it was pouring rain that day.
Yeah.
And I go and she said, you could sit outside. I can sit outside. Look at the rain.
Yeah.
So I left. I didn't buy anything because I'm just like, well, it doesn't make sense. We can't be here. So I think the hardest thing for me is not being able to make an appointment with somebody and sit with them face to face, or trying to communicate. Once that we did open up, I had a meeting the other day, and we sat in a place and we had I can go to somebody's house and it's up to they make the rules, which is fine. But a lot of folks, they still want to go to a coffee shop or whatever. So we sit there in the mask, and I can't read their face.
Of course.
And and I'm a.
Are they digesting the information?
Exactly.
Is it resonating with them? Do they have any questions? Yep.
Exactly.
You can see all those things coming.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's the hardest thing, just not being able to meet with people. The other thing is a lot of people in their retirement age, mm-hmm. they have a phone. They may have a smartphone, but they really don't have that. A lot of them don't have that PC, or if they do have it, it's not the greatest for something like a Zoom or a WebEx or whatever platform you're using.
Right.
They just don't. They've never needed it. They left work. Some of them left work a little early because they didn't want to do that kind of stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So that's hard too. So just having a conversation with somebody over the phone about something that I would always speak with them one-to-one on is difficult. I'll be glad when we reach a point where enough people are vaccinated and we've started to really kill this thing, so that we can go back to the old way of doing things.
Because
somewhat.
Would you say that you're in sales, but you're not in sales, but you use sales skills?
Well, yeah, I taught spin selling skills for a number of years.
Okay.
And I'm in sales. Here's what I believe. I believe everybody is selling something. At one time I tried to call it the ass method. That didn't go over very well. But
everybody's selling something.
Used to be always selling something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't roll off the tongue good.
Yeah, but so I don't say that anymore.
Right.
But yeah, everybody's selling something, and whether it's a next appointment or a product, but the approach I have is I really attempt not to sell, in that I sit down with people, I figure out what's best with what I think is best for them, and I show them a couple of different options, and then I help them, lead them through the process to actually pick what makes the most sense for them today. And but yes, is that sales? Yes, that's sales. Do I get on some products? Do I get a commission for selling it? Yes, I do. But does that, people want to go online and go buy it and all that, you can go online, you can do that too.
Right.
But the person's not, they don't know you. They haven't, they don't know the neighborhood you live in. They don't know anything about you. You're just a voice on the phone. And yes, they hopefully are, or at least looking out for you, but it's not the same as having somebody who's local, who's right there in your neighborhood, who, when you tell them something about yourself, and they go, oh yeah, I know exactly where that is. Oh yeah, I actually know that person. Yeah, good
Much
guy.
better.
And so like I said, I'd be glad when we beat this COVID thing 100%, so that we can go back in it. I also had somebody tell me, was it you? Somebody told me on the phone within the last couple of days that we're in this new normal, and we're never going back to it.
Yeah, I think that probably was me.
Okay,
We were talking about that.
Yeah. So I hope you're wrong, brother. I really do.
So
Yeah.
I had that conversation. I kind of I fleshed it out a little bit more when I was talking to a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, or getting back to normal, okay? I'm not canceling that or taking that away or not trying to make that a goal or ambition. I think what I was more trying to explain was that, like, we can make a new normal.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about myself. At one point in time in my life, I was chasing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the train for an hour and a half going to work.
Yeah.
I'm there 20 minutes early because the next train would get me there late.
Right.
So I'm there from 8 to 5, and now I'm taking an hour and a half train home from work, which most likely will be late every day.
Right.
And that was normal.
Right.
That was the time of when I'm sitting behind a desk working for somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, like, what I would be doing if I had more time.
Exactly.
Like, man, I'd like to be interviewing people. I'd like to host a radio show.
Right.
So for those people who had a normal and a good routine and it went away, they do deserve to have that normal back.
Exactly. Yeah.
For a person like me who was looking for an escape,
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to make a new normal. So we can both can coincide. They're not, one is not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of music you listen to?
I listen to a little bit of everything. I grew up, I have two middle names. So I'm Christopher Douglas Bowler Bennett. And the Bowler, Douglas is my mother's maiden name. The Bowler is a bass player from the 1920s and 30s named Dave Bowler.
Okay.
And so I was this geeky kid, and who was at 8 or 9 years old, could, if you remember the show Name That Tune, I could name that tune in 5 notes. Any old swing jazz tune, I could do it. And so so I grew up listening to my parents. I guess before my mother got so religious, my parents were jitterbug. They jitterbug competitions.
Yeah, it is the opposite of like gospel music.
Yeah, it's all the same, man.
It is.
It really is the same. And you listen to like my godfather would talk about he called it the Saints tune. So he taught me to play trumpet, taught me to play When the Saints Go Marching In. And
That's a good tune.
Yeah, but he called it the Saints tune. And, it was just, and he talked about, how simple, he didn't read music. The reason why he got out of the music business was because he felt like rock and roll put him out of business. Because he never learned to read music. He was born in like 1918, and he learned to play in the back of a club. There's a group called the Oklahoma City Blue Devils, which is an old band. I think at some point became the Count Basie group, Count Basie Orchestra.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Later on.
Thanks.
But So, but he left Langston, Coral, Oklahoma, and got on a train and ended up in Oklahoma City, and then they ended up in Kansas City and playing in Kansas City, and then in the end the Garden Club in New York. So had a steady day-to-day job or whatever. So But he taught me a lot about music and to appreciate all music, and you know. But the other thing he taught me was to learn to read music. He didn't teach me. He didn't teach me to read music. He taught me to appreciate reading music and to actually learn how to read it. Sure. Yeah, because you know, he had a hard way to go once. You know, once rock and roll came, he didn't know the tunes anymore.
Right.
And somebody, you know, they're having a dance or whatever you're playing, and they say, hey, you know, play this, and you can get the sheet music, but they put sheet music in front of him. He didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
But he was in the back room of Decca Records. That was his real job. So somebody walk in, and I bet he's got 100 and he's on 130, 40 recordings.
Right.
But and then all of a sudden he says, you know, if you can't read music, you can't you can't function. You know. So yeah, I listen a little bit of everything. I never took on some of the folk stuff as much, but I know people laugh at me. I love Tracy Chapman even.
Tracy Chapman, yeah.
Yeah, so. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So,
that's the jam.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know, a lot of folks didn't like Tracy Chapman, and my wife for one, she couldn't stand it. She pretty much leave the house if I started playing Tracy. She just didn't like the music, didn't like the sound of it, you know. And but this is the older Tracy, not this modern. So some of her first stuff.
Right.
And it was just, I mean, I'm one of those guys. I don't look like it, but I can turn up the sound and just enjoy, you know, whether it's you know, well, one of my favorite groups from when I was a kid was Louis Jordan and the Timpani Five.
Oh man,
you know that stuff.
Come on, beans and cornbread.
Oh yeah, all that kind of stuff. So I loved Ain't Nobody Here But Us, Chickens.
All of it. And
it got me in a lot of trouble too, because I do stuff like you know, Fat Sam from Birmingham. I do what was that other one? Oh, Fat and 40, but Lordy, you my meat.
Yeah.
And you know, I say stuff like that in school and make a joke. And,
right, real quick, you know.
And you know, I've got a good sense of humor, but yeah, it gets me in trouble a lot.
Louis Jordan, the Timpani Five.
Yeah.
They are also, or Mr. Jordan's responsible for the famous. Everybody knows it, but few knew who it was. The classic Tom and Jerry scene where Tom is singing to that lady cat, "Is you is or is you ain't my baby."
Yeah.
Yep. That's Louis Jordan as well.
Tell me if you found somebody new. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good music.
Yeah.
Now I gotta hear beans and cornbread. Wow.
Yeah. And I have some actual vinyls of that. I bought because my dad was in that stuff when I was in England. I don't know if I bought it in England. I think I bought it in France. But anyway, I went to some shops, and you can buy jazz there so easily, you know. And so, as a gift to my dad, I bought a couple of the things he really liked. So I've got a Basie. I don't know if it's worth anything, but you know, I got them, and then when he died in like 2005, and I family at least gave me those back. So
that's good. That's good. So what's next on the horizon? What does 2021 have for Mr. Bennett? What's some of your goals and ambitions that you're trying to get solved or trying to achieve this year?
My goal is to build the property side of my business, okay. The property and focus on a lot on those who have rental properties. What I find is there are a lot of people in this area. You know, if you look, there's a landlord tax in Aurora, and so every landlord pays this tax to the city, and there's I would say probably 9,000 or more people. This was a few years ago who were 9,000 more properties that were on this landlord tax, and if you look, some of those people just have one or two properties, maybe single family, maybe duplexes, maybe you know, small apartments or whatever. But then there are some who own, you know, many properties, and when you talk with those folks, they trade or buy and sell properties and use them. They can sell something when they need to raise cash. They'll sell a property,
right,
and raise new cash. So what I'd like to do is meet more and more people who have rental property, who are getting closer to that 60-year-old to 60, where they're starting to think about retiring, and have that conversation with them to help them figure out whether they really want to be going and managing the property themselves, or hiring some property manager to manage the property, or whether they want to start planning to liquidate that property and turn it into. There's something that we have that's it's essentially called a retirement paycheck, and so you can take cash, and you don't know how long you're going to live, right? My dad lived to 82. My grandfather before him lived to 90, I think 96. My mother lived to 40, I don't know, no, I'm sorry, 50, 58 or 59. So when you look at you don't know how long you're going to live, but you want to know that you've got enough money that your cash lives just as long as you do. And sometimes real estate's a great way to build up your assets. But at some point, you never know, and your property's getting older, and you gotta either fix it or hope that the city keeps things up around the property, so
right.
that and other people around you keep their property up, and that it's still a place where you can own it and know that it's going to generate the rents that you're expecting. And if not, then what are some options that you have to have that guaranteed paycheck? So that's a big focus of mine. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I should plug it or not, but am I allowed to? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a book. I've got a book for anybody who's a rental, has rental property. I've got a book. This is an old version of it, but I'm giving this book away. I've got about 35 of them now. I can probably get more if necessary, but you can. I guess we can put my phone number on here at the end. And if you have rental properties, at least one income property, give me a call and I'll show you how to get this book. No strings attached. Just let me send you the book. Use it, and one of the things it talks about is how to manage the properties so that you can sell them, so that you can get out of them. But the other thing is I'd like to sit down with you in a few years and help you figure out how to get the most cash out of those properties, and how to take that cash and use it to provide yourself with a guaranteed retirement paycheck. So.
Y'all holler at him. Y'all
that's my
book. Advice and the book.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
And you're on Facebook, Instagram.
I am on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. However, I don't know if I understood Facebook when I set it up. It's my Facebook is longer. My Facebook for my business page is longer than it normally would be. But if you go out to Facebook and you just type in C.D. Bennett Insurance, you'll find me.
Okay.
You'll find me on Facebook. Believe it or not, I use LinkedIn a lot. I use it to meet business clients and people who own businesses, people who have employees and may need group benefits, things like that. Have a 401k and they those kinds of things. And I like LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn since probably 2006. So I've got, I don't know, I think I used to have, I really need to go through it again and make sure that it's all good, but I've probably got 1,800 people out there that I've met. And the difference is I'm old school, so I really believe in, you're not my friend because I saw your picture online. I have to have talked with you or actually met with you. Most of the folks are people that I know that I've actually met. I've had coffee with them or lunch with them or something several times.
Yeah, my Facebook. I'm glad you brought. Yeah, my Facebook experience has kind of got worse because now doing I'm the same kind of way. Every Facebook friend I got, I was either in the Navy with them, or we grew up together, or we worked together. That's a human being I actually spent time with.
Right.
But now, I posted a video of this was a month ago. Posted a video and she shared it, and then she tagged me, my actual person, and then all these people sent me friend requests.
Okay.
And I actually don't.
That's a good thing, though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not, we're still cool. I didn't link nobody, but it's it's not.
Yeah.
It's It's not as poignant.
It's a little harder on Facebook to do. But I'll tell you what I do with LinkedIn. If I get a request like that, I will actually reach out to them. So it gives you a message. It says
Yes.
that they want to be linked with you, connected with you, and if they don't have anything in there, it doesn't mean I won't connect with them. But I'm gonna, if they have something out there some way, I will either write them an email or write them some way and say, hey, would you mind if we give me a call? Here's my phone number,
Yeah.
or they send me yours or whatever, and I just talk with them. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to meet people. Now, I'm bad with Facebook. I'd really like to be better at Facebook because the neat thing about Facebook is that there's so much information, and from a marketing perspective, Facebook allows you to. I can target people who read a certain kind of article, and people don't realize how much information about them is on Facebook, and I can go to these databases, and the databases are collecting that information, and they've got often they have a cell number, and either they're on the do not call list or they're not. If they're not, then your cell number, I can actually call them on the cell, but you can actually talk with people. If you can get them to pick up the phone, you can actually talk with people, or you can find out what their interests are. You can find out what they donate money to, all these things. So, and I have this ideal customer, and those are the only people I bother to pick up the phone and call cold.
Yeah.
And it's not so cold. But
No, it's not.
But you meet some good clients. You meet some good people that way.
Yeah, I remember once upon a time I just needed a job real quick, and we did this like calling list, and some of the data was gleaned from Facebook. It was crazy. Like what people see, that's the thing about social media.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna wrap this up. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are always talking about, the media's dividing us, and how do they know what I'm doing, and how I said this on Tuesday and now I see it in my. But we're making a playlist for every song we want to hear. We got the workout playlist. I got the dinner playlist. I got the kids playlist.
Right.
You are liking it. You're saving it.
Right. Yeah.
You're hitting the share button.
Mm-hmm.
So we are consistently refining and making better our interests, and we're building that data 24/7.
Yeah.
So when you say pizza, and then you get the Rosati's ad, I mean, you're not really. That's our fault, right?
I don't know. I don't think that the majority of people in America understand how much information is out there. It's just out there, sold to the highest bidder. So I don't know. It's but if you could, and that's where I'm bad. Right. I'm not. I mean, yeah, I can buy an ad or whatever and post. I'll never forget the time I was trying to get. Trying to market on Facebook, and I put out an ad. This was I used to have a sales training franchise, so sales training, business consulting, and so I'm really promoting that. And I bought an ad, and all of a sudden I had all these likes, and I go, wow, that's great. Now I look, and they're all part of a business class in, I think, in Korea.
Right. Yeah.
A Korean college class. So yes, I got like 50 likes in like 30 seconds or something. But I think they were just passing me around the class, and it's not like I got any business from it. But I don't know. I know that I'm in need of a lot of understanding and refining and really utilizing that information to help me help people and meet people who need my help. And I just and I sat in on a thing through my my marketing organization yesterday, and it's it was great. It shows how to set up the Facebook page, and I know how to do that, and it talks about a lot of the things. But now I gotta call the people in Omaha and have them take me that next step, because I got to figure this out, because there's just so much information there that and you got to get people still have to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But I'm I've got a voice and a way of talking with people. If I get them on the phone, I can usually get them to talk with me a little bit. And and I don't really care for that. They give me permission to mail them something. If they're not, I don't call people who are on the do not call list. But
Sure.
If they're not on do not call list, I can run 1,800 names and only get maybe 200 who are not on the do not call list.
Right.
But those 200 are gold, and they all live in a particular part of Batavia, Aurora, Warrenville, all the areas that I work in some cases St. Charles, just so I've got this relatively small area, and I just generate a list and kick out everybody who doesn't have OK next to do not call,
Right.
and I can call them. I don't do it to a point where it's annoying to me,
Yeah.
but I do it till I get 3 or 4 people to say hello to me and agree to take something in the mail, or to actually sit down with me. And but there's just so much information out there that we have, and I just wish that that younger people understood that they're creating this profile out there that never goes away, and 2 is that other people understand how to actually use it to make their own lives better, besides just gossiping and making fun of making fun of the way somebody put up their Christmas lights or whatever,
Right.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff.
Or watching the wildebeest kill the lion.
Yeah. So
The show ends on a positive note.
okay,
What is your message today to the people of Aurora?
my message to the people of Aurora, folks, don't lose sight of the jewel that we have here. We talk about diversity, and the best diversity is a diversity that's completely natural, and that's what we have here. We have people. Don't be afraid to go out and talk to somebody else. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody who maybe I believe in values, and we want to make friends with people who have the exact same or similar values to the values that we have. But don't ever forget that when you get right down to it, regardless of what color you are, who you call your mate, any of those things, we all want the same things. Almost all of us want the same things. I call it well, for me, it's family, it's friendship, and faith. But also, for people who have children, they want a good school for their children. They want a better future for their children than what they had, and I don't think that's changing. And if we just focus on making this place just as good and better for future generations, then we'll be fine. And that's my thought. And that's completely off the top of my head. I didn't expect you to ask that.
Good. I'm glad. I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah, but that's
it was heartfelt.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. And yeah. We can sit down again. We can talk about Aurora, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. We'll do a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Very much
Thanks for
so.
having me in here.
Yeah, we
And
appreciate your time. We appreciate the ability to speak to you, learn about what you do, and also learn from you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
On
you.
behalf of our listeners, subscribers, please be sure to check out this episode and get to know Mr. Bennett, CD Bennett Insurance.
cdbennettinsurance.com.
Yeah.
The one other thing, I'm always giving something away, right?
Right.
For those of you nearing retirement or thinking about retirement, especially like 60, 61, 62, all the way up to 65 and beyond, I've got a free book. It just talks about how to understand Medicare, how to navigate Medicare. And I know COVID's bringing a lot of people to a point where they say that they may not actually want to, they can't decide whether they want to stay at work. So another free book, just go out to that site, send me an email. I'm just Chris at cdbennettinsurance.com. Let me know what you want, and I'll get it for you. And I got a website coming for, I got one called MetaChris. MetaChris, just for Medicare. So people who know what they want already, they can go out there and buy from a shopping cart. But other than that, just I'm there. I'm there to talk with folks. I'm not one of those who's 9 to 5 guys. I work early morning. I work evenings as late as people call me. I also work my weekends, and I have a lot of fun too. So you know, I try to. We can't do it now, but I try to network my clients as well, so they can meet people. I connect them with attorneys. I connect them with people that they need to know. So
Very cool.
yeah, great. I love this process that you have.
Thank you
It's
very much.
it's very relaxing.
I'm
Very
glad to hear
relaxing.
you say that
Yeah.
because I'm trying to. That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the whole purpose. Something different. Taking the story of the individual, relaxed. Calm. That's what it's supposed to
Yeah.
be.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And it's a great room. I love rooms that are shaped. I love real estate.
It's
And,
I'm
yeah.
a book guy,
Uh-huh.
and I like it in here too. Sometimes I like early in the morning. Like we got 7 o'clock Zoom calls.
Okay.
But I'm in here like 5:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Right here, kids. It's a beautiful scene. Watch
Okay.
the sunrise.
Yeah, it's nice.
You know,
Very
sip
nice.
your little coffee, chill out.
I'm not used to I'm still not used to the condos over there on the river.
Oh
Looking
yeah,
at it. It's a
yeah,
completely different look.
yeah.
And I used to work in Elgin, and they
Okay.
and that's very similar, very
Okay.
similar look. But
So you know what? When we were talking, in this direction, right here, specifically here, the sunrise and the sunset is like it's the best.
oh yeah,
It is. It is the best. Yeah.
Interesting.
This is my calm, happy place.
okay,
This is where I come to.
Okay.
One of my buddies who works down here too. Sometimes he's pulled up and just honked the horn.
you know who it is.
Yeah. So again, guys, check out this episode. It's gonna be really good. And if you need any financial insurance or Medicare
Right.
help or assistance, CD Bennett Insurance. And we appreciate Mr. Bennett's time. And all of you guys out there, peace.
All right. Peace.